Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank all the speakers. I have a comment and two questions. My comment is I would like to stress the role of research, innovation, and technology to achieve accessible, affordable, clean energy for all. And in this sense, to recall the role of the public-private partnerships under Horizon Europe, that I'm the rapporteur, and these initiatives will be crucial to achieve this aim, and mainly the hydrogen, the circular and bio-based, but also the aviation, the rail, the key digital technologies, and the new partnership devoted to 5 and 6G. I have two questions to the speakers in general. One is the role of storage. In your opinion, what will be the best technological options? And vis-a-vis also the discussion of centralized versus decentralized energy production that was not very much discussed during the presentations. My second question is related with the negative technologies. Many of the scenarios for the member states and for Europe shows that the last phase of decarbonization we have to make use of negative technologies. So what's your opinion on that? How you can use CCUS together with biomass, direct air capture, which kind of technologies and which effort should we do to develop in terms of research and innovation to develop these technologies? Thank you very much.
So with regards to the first question, we agree with the important role of R&D. Looking at the need for storage in the energy transition, we believe that the need for storage is set to increase as more and more intermittent renewables come online, and that in looking at the role of storage, we will have a role for different technologies, and especially if we're looking seasonally, for storage from summer to winter, the role of hydrogen and the role of biomethane, of biogases, will be important in balancing seasonal demand. With regards to the centralized versus decentralized models, there are different models that will suit different situations. In general, because if you look at hydrogen, the cost of hydrogen will depend a lot on the cost of the renewable electricity that you use to make it. Having access to good renewable electricity will be the key determinant, whereas transport costs will likely be quite low, as we have seen from the European hydrogen backbone, because of the ability to repurpose infrastructure. So, that will make it a cheaper option for consumers in many situations.
Concerning the role of research innovation, yes, I consider it extremely important. In fact, if we want mature technologies, if you want to study new vectors for the energy sector, if you want to talk about digitalization and new strategies, we need to invest more on research and innovation. Storage will be very important. If we want to achieve the renewable energy goals, we'll need to have storage capacity. So we have to invest on storage. In Portugal, we had an interesting study on storage technology. So yes, this is a way to follow, and it's not a way to follow in 10 years. It's now the time. Centralized versus decentralized, both they are both important. One because it has this focus on big investments, and the other one, decentralized, focus on people. So we should consider both, and we should improve existing barriers that may exist for the decentralized. It's something new, so we should make our efforts on improving the regulatory framework for this sector. Negative technologies. I think digitalization will help with this. Research will help with this. So we have to make an effort to have more research.
First, on negative technologies, so for instance, we use sustainable biomass in order to produce heat for district heating, and I would absolutely agree that is needed in order to reach net zero. I think there's an important difference to be made between burning coal or fossil fuels, for instance, in order to produce heat, because you add CO2 to the atmosphere, which otherwise would have remained permanently geologically stored. And that's different with biomass. We, for instance, use sustainable biomass, which are residues or waste from woods that is otherwise used for the production of buildings and furnitures. And that would otherwise have been left and decayed in the forest. So I think that is an important differentiation. In terms of carbon capture, we are very negative on that. We think there is not really a prospect for instance, on blue hydrogen. We think the cost for renewable green hydrogen can be substantially reduced if there is sufficient funding in developing the technology. And that leads me to the question of where should the financial focus be in terms of supporting the renewable transition in Europe. And clearly, when it comes to renewable hydrogen, this is where we would encourage the EU to spend money.
Question about CCSU. The only type of negative technologies we approve are natural, such as reforestation, reducing deforestation. When you need carbon capture equipment or direct air capture, it always takes energy and it always takes equipment. So it's an additional cost. And the energy, if it's from a fossil fuel, you create more air pollution, you need more mining. If it's from renewables, you're preventing that renewable from displacing fossil fuels. So we did a study finding that there's really no situation ever that using carbon capture or direct air capture is more beneficial than using the same money to purchase renewables to replace fossil fuels, because taking carbon out of the air is exactly the same as preventing it from getting in the air. But when you prevent it from getting in the air, you also prevent air pollution and mining. You have a much higher social cost benefit. Then the question about types of storage. Well, the types of storage are heat storage, cold storage, electricity storage, and hydrogen. Heat and cold storage are very inexpensive right now, but we need more underground thermal energy storage. You can store heat seasonally, for example, in aquifers, water pits, and boreholes. And electricity storage, if we can get batteries down to 50 euros per kilowatt hour, that's when the whole game changes. And we really, ideally even lower than that, but that's really what our target should be right now. It's somewhere between $100 and $150, depending on, or up to $200 a kilowatt hour, depending on the scales. But for large scale, 50 euros per kilowatt hour is a good target, so we should focus on that. District heating will have a big role, of course, especially in Europe. Parts of Europe, 50% are district heating. The more, the better, but we can do it both on the district heating level and individual heating of individual buildings. And centralized versus decentralized, we're going to need both distributed solar on rooftops and large-scale utility PV plants. Wind will be mostly in wind farms, either onshore or offshore.